Stage one of the 2021 Tour de France, and it was a humdinger of a day from Brest to Landerneau, nearly 200 kilometers, 197 kilometers, and it was Alaphilippe who just flew away solo, ahead, behind Michael Matthews and Primoz Roglic, ahead of a battered, bruised peloton out there.
Yeah, it was a good day this morning, no rain, the weather was okay, cool but dry, no wind, so everything was set up for a great race and a great stage one of the Tour de France. So a small breakaway went out after 10 kilometers from the start, a small group, one rider, stay away for a few kilometers. Schillen had also got at the end one big reward, but we'll talk about that later. But then at kilometer 44, something big happened.
The whole race, it seemed like nothing was going to happen all day, but then at kilometer 44, bam.
Bam. Yeah, so a massive crash. Let's say that almost every rider went down, hit the ground. This accident was caused by a spectator that just, lying in the middle of the road, literally with a what was that? Like
had a sign out there on the side of the road saying "Ale muy
Poppy or something like that. So all the teams were lined up at that moment, and the Jumbo Visma team just went down. All the team except the Gazins that was in front of the group, everybody else went down, and actually some guys really hit the ground really badly.
Of course, yeah, we saw Tony Martin run right into the fan, and the rest of the guys crashing behind him caused a domino effect. Everybody was down. Gesink, of course, waited up for his teammates. There was a whole regrouping, kind of a gentleman's agreement. And then we saw the Kunit Quickstep hitting the gas, just powering for this final in Landerneau, because there's that 3K climb, a few right-hand corners, everybody wanted to be positioned well, and the stress is high. This is a stage one of the biggest bike race in the world, so the stress level's so high, and bam, 7 kilometers to go. Everybody's all over the road, dominoes are falling everywhere, and we see that one of the biggest victims of that crash was Chris Froome. Of course, a 4-time Tour de France winner, was down on the ground. We saw a lot of other bodies just everywhere in that crash, and there was no time for a gentleman's agreement there. The race was on, and they were firing into the final, and then we were just like regrouping, trying to understand who made it out of that crash and was still there able to fight for the final.
Yeah, definitely. So just before the last 3 kilometers, so the Training Quickstep was great, perfect teamwork. They were great in leading Alaphilippe into the last corner. So, and then the last 3 kilometers were really tough. First kilometer was at 12%. Alaphilippe placed a great attack from the beginning, and he managed to hold the gap all the way to the finish line.
I thought it was too early.
Yeah, I thought it was too early too, but he said it just by instinct, he went away from the beginning and he felt really good. He felt he had his 2019 form. So everybody actually tried to close the gap, including Van der Poel, Van Aert, but no one made it. So just Roglic at the end managed to finish into the podium, third. And second was a sprinter, well, kind of a sprinter.
Michael Matthews. Yeah, it looked early. We also saw Matthew Van der Poel a little bit poorly placed, and then he put in a big surge, but then he faded. But a lot of GC group guys were in that group and made a good, had good positioning coming into the final here. Of course, we are watching all the crash victims that come across the finish line. Blood, bodies, just looked bad. And finally, we saw Chris Froome right in with a couple of other teammates. Frankly, I don't know if he's going to continue. Mark Hirschi looked pretty bad off, and he looks like another rider who may not continue in this race. He raced so well in the 2020 Tour de France, and of course we saw Sepp Kuss coming in pretty late as well.
And also Mike Woods, of course. Well, we didn't see him coming through, and then we realized that he lost a lot of time.
Andrea, let's talk about the juice of the day, because for me it must have been Alaphilippe, Frenchman, winning on home soil and taking the yellow jersey already on day one.
Yeah, what a champion, what a world champion he is. He had all the pressure on. The whole country was waiting for his victory, and he made it. So he made this attack right at the beginning of the climb. We all thought that it was too early. It was almost impossible to, keep that pace all the way up to the finish line. But he made it. We were so impressed at the end. We couldn't believe that. And I think we had a good chat with Van der Poel. And even him, was the second favorite for the day, he had to say there was nothing to do even for him. Alaphilippe was simply the strongest man today on the race.
And he came away, I think, with like an 8-second gap over the nearest rider, Michael Matthews, behind him. And when you do the calculation of time bonuses, he now has a 12-second lead over Michael Matthews, and I think 14 seconds over Primoz Roglic. Roglic is the favorite for the overall, and Roglic is also picking up bonus seconds for that third place spot today. And I think we need to go over those GC losers.
Yeah, but we can also mention that Alaphilippe will probably keep the jersey for a few days now, because, well, tomorrow is another great day for him, but the next stage where he could lose the jersey is a time trial on stage 5.
Yeah, and we're looking at stage 5. Of course, we have 3 more days before we get there, and there are some guys that are really going to have to try to recuperate that time, because we had some losers out there on the stage. And when we look at those men, I'm talking about Richie Porte, lost 2:16, Theo Gegenhardt 5 minutes 13 seconds, Brandon McNulty, the American, 6:57, Canadian Michael Woods losing 8 minutes and 49 seconds today. His teammate Chris Froome, 14:37 back from the winner, Julian Alaphilippe. Sepp Kuss rolling in. He was okay, but he just sat up and lost 16 minutes and 29 seconds. But we had some really top guys in that front group with our with the group of Michael Matthews and Primoz Roglic.
Yeah, we had the 2 Ineos captain, and now we found out who are they. So Thomas and Carapaz were there. We had Uran that managed to stay with the front group. We had Nibali, who is racing within the same number he had in 2014 when he won the Tour de France. Then we had Chavez, was an impressive rider today as well. Who else was in that group?
None other than Nairo Quintana, of course, always a favorite in the Tour de France, and Tadej Pogačar, last year's Tour de France winner, riding so sharp in this race, but of course his team took a big hit out there today in stage 1 of the Tour de France.